We're moving on to section 4 of the wildlife conservation project. In section 3 you did research to learn about the animal or insect that you want to attract into the garden. Section 4 is where we're going to do some research to try and learn how are we going to attract the animal or insect into the garden. So the first thing we want is an action plan. So we're going to set out a set of steps and plan out how do we plan to get this animal or insect into the garden. So first thing you have to do, research to find one type of shrub, tree, bush, plant or flower that you will plant in the garden in order to attract the species into your garden. Now, very important, I've in brackets here, select a plant that is cheap to buy. Don't go researching some sort of tree that's going to cost 80 or 90 or 100 euros or something like that. We don't want to go down that road. You're looking to be planting some sort of flowers or bushes that maybe will flower themselves, or bushes that will grow berries, or trees or plants that will grow berries. In other words, ideally you're going to try and find a plant that's going to grow some sort of food that the animal or insect eats. So in other words, you might have a butterfly that is attracted to a certain type of a flower. You could have a bee that's going to be attracted to a certain type of flower. Or you could have animals or birds that are attracted to berries that grow on bushes or flowers or trees. So first thing you want is just the name of the plant. You don't need the fancy name. You can just give the regular name that you'd find in a shop. The cost of it. I want to know the cost because I don't want you researching plants that are, as I said, really expensive. Why or how does the plant attract the species in? So in other words, is it the color of the plant? Is it the shape of the plant? Is it the size of the plant? Can the species nest in the plant? Maybe, for example, do they use it for food? Do they use it for shelter? Do they use it for camouflage? So what reason would you have for planting this species of plant into the garden? A couple of photos of it. So it might be a weird kind of plant or tree, so it'll be nice to see a couple of photos of what they look like. So 2 photos is loads. You can take more if you like. Next part said, what time of year should this tree be planted? So this is really important. We want to try and find a plant or tree that you can plant in the garden around this time of the year. Ideally, we're going to get you to go planting some of these in your gardens during the midterm. So try and find something that you can plant around February, March, April time. And then the last bit you have to do is write down the instructions as to how to plant the tree. So in other words, some trees like to be planted in shade. Some flowers like to be planted in sunlight. Some like really dry ground. Some like really wet ground. So you're going to need the instructions as how to plant these. Do they need to be planted in really warm weather? Do they need to be planted in compost or something like that? So just 5 or 6 steps that will outline what part of the garden and then how you go about planting it. In other words, how deep is the hole? Do you need to put stone in along with the soil as you're planting it? Do you need to use moss peat? Do you need to use compost? Do you need to feed the plant straight away? And that's section 4 done. This has to be handwritten, so I don't want this typed out. It wants to be handwritten so that it can go onto the project that we're going to make when we go back to school.